All right, here we go. These seem to be pretty popular, so we're going to do another one here real quick. It's going to be a quick one for a Thursday night. Honey Baby's had a long week. I've had a long week. Everybody's had a long week. But we're doing something that everybody loves. We don't do a lot of these because we're on fixed income, so we don't make a lot of steak. But anyway, we've got these beautiful strip steaks here, about an inch and an eighth thick, something like that. So typically you'd put a steak. It's not that hard to make a good steak if you're making it outside. So you'd put it on the grill, you'd put it on the whatever out there and over wood or whatever, and it would make a great steak. But anyway, we're going to make them inside tonight and show you how to make an absolutely delicious steak. And one of the things Honey Baby said back in the day was, your steaks are good as any one that I've had at a restaurant, by doing them in the iron skillet. So anyway, this is how I do these. I'm going to show you this real quick. The skillet's on high. It's got to be super hot for these to turn out. Now, the difference in making a good steak indoors in a skillet is, typically when you're doing anything in a skillet, you're going to add oil to the skillet. The whole key here is we're going to brush the oil on the steaks, and we're not going to put it in the skillet. Because when you're cooking outside, the moisture that comes out of these steaks drops onto the coals or onto the wood, and it burns it off. When you put it in a skillet, it collects in the skillet. And if you're not careful with how much liquid is in the skillet, you end up boiling these steaks rather than browning them really good. I don't suspect we'll need to put these in the oven because they're not super thick. But at the end of this, if you wanted them more well-er doner, we'll try and get these about medium rare. If you wanted them more done than that, you could put the whole skillet in the oven, which is nice about the iron skillet. So let's show you how to do this. This is super quick and easy, and it's absolutely delicious. I got a little olive oil that I just put in here. Some good olive oil. That's probably 2 or 3 tablespoons. I've got some garlic. I'm going to go pretty heavy on the garlic on these. This is about a teaspoon of garlic, which is going to be about probably 3 or 4 cloves. I've got some black pepper. Half a teaspoon maybe. And then I've got some white truffle oil. This is something you don't have to have. If all you have is the olive oil, it's fine. I love the truffle flavor, so I use that. You can get this little tube for like $4 or $5, something like that. Use it. It goes a long way. I've actually had, well, we've had this one for a while, and it's still got a little bit in it. So if you buy one, it goes a long way. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to add salt to this. And that's because salting steaks, it gets a little uneven if you're not careful. If I mixed it into this brush on here, some of the salt would settle, and one of the steaks would get 2/3 of it, and the other 3 would get hardly any. So anyway, I just kind of roughly mix that up. Then I'm going to use my brush here, and I'm going to brush this on them. Again, I don't want there to be too much liquid in this skillet where it actually boils these. So all I'm going to do is rub some of this on the sides here, like so. And again, my skillet's over there. My skillet should get to where it's super hot and it's smoking, but let's just see. I'll turn these over. These are going to be fantastic. We've got some sides going over there, side schmides. This is about the steak. So then I add a little bit more to the other side. I could do this in the skillet. If you want to do this second step, you could put them on and then do this second step in the skillet. So I brush this on both sides of them good. Now that's pretty much all the oil that I'm going to add to those. And you'll see my skillet over here has nothing in it, and you can see the smoke. Can you see the smoke from there, Kim?
Yeah.
It's already starting to smoke. Now, I may be making the cardinal error of indoor steaks by putting too many in this pan. We're going to see if I mess this up, because I realize it's kind of late on a Thursday and I don't want to be out doing these in batches, but you're usually better off doing these in batches than you are all together in the skillet. That's where you're going to get too much liquid in your skillet as well, is if you put too many of them in there at the same time. Let me rinse this off real quick. If you put too many of them in there at the same time, it renders too much liquid in it, and then you end up with boiled steaks instead of brown. So, if you can bring that camera over here, honey, I'll show you this. And you see the smoke coming off of that, and that's, you want that smoking like this. Got some potatoes going back here. Got some green beans, but you already see how much liquid's rendering out of these steaks. Can you see that good? That may end up being too much. We're going to see. We got to let these cook down for just a minute kind of before we know. But you can already smell that. Smells fantastic. So I've got, somewhere I got some salt. I'm just barely going to, normally when we do this, we use this little spoon and we'll drop it in the dishes. I don't like to over salt food. Matter of fact, I probably err too much on the other side. But all I'm going to do is take some pinches out of here and put this salt on here with the pinch. Because again, I don't want to over salt them. And we can always salt them at the end, but I got another little trick that I'm going to show you here in just a minute that finishes making these awesome. So let's do that real fast. Bring it back over here, if you would, real quick, and we'll do this other step, and I'll show you the final step that I have to making the best indoor steaks. So we've got some softened butter here. You should always have some butter just out. Real butter, not margarine, but real butter survives fine at room temperature. And it's always softened that way, and you're not trying to soften up a bunch of butter. So we keep this stick of butter out here all the time. It's just softened butter. I have a little Maggi, however you pronounce it. It's basically just a flavor. This is a spicy. You don't have to have that. If you don't have any, it's fine. I've got some pepper. Then I've got the garlic again, and this is not going to be overly garlic because garlic tends to cook off the flavor of it does. So while those are going over there, they're still looking good. I add me a little garlic to my butter here. And then I've got some truffle seasoning. Now this is just a powder. You could use the same oil in there if you wanted. The other thing that I did not get out that's really good on these is some Parmesan. So I add in this about a teaspoon of Parmesan, give or take, into this softened butter. You kind of want to give this a good mix up as much as you can. And you've got kind of your mushroom, your earthiness in there. You've got the garlic, you've got the Parmesan for a little bit of bite. And then we're going to put this over them at the end. Now I would not put it on there right now because, again, it would melt and it'd make a bunch of liquid in my pan, which I don't want. All right, then bring that back over here if you would. Let's take a look at these. Don't mess with these. The biggest issue that you have when you're doing this is people mess with them and they flip them and kind of like that phone. Flip them. Don't flip them until they need to be flipped. And then try to only flip them one time. So kind of give them a little look. Ooh, that looks nice. So that's ready. And you'll know if you've got too much liquid if that's not real brown. If instead of being brown, that's this color right here, this real off-white looking color, then it tells you you've got too much liquid in your pan. If you did that, you want to rescue these and have them look delicious, take the steaks out, sop up the liquid in the pan and put it back. Oh yeah, those are looking real nice. And these are going to cook just about, oh, that's nice right there. These are going to cook just about perfectly without me even putting them in the oven. So I'm not even going to mess with that. I'll take right now a little bit more salt. You see that great color. I'll give them just a little bit more salt. I'll give these about 2 minutes like this. And then when they're done and I take these off and I put them on the plate, I'll add a dollop of that butter that I just made that had the Parmesan and all that in it. I'll put that on the top. I don't want to put it on there now because it's going to melt out and you can already see there's a lot of liquid in there. So I'm going to do that at the end, but I want to wait until I get this same color on both sides. I'll look at the bottom of it. When that color's on the other side, I'll add my butter to it. On the plate it with the sides, and then we'll kind of give them that little minute in there to rest. That's when I'll know they're ready. But anyway, that's the way you make a really good indoor steak. Brush your oil only on the steaks. Get your skillet extremely hot. And then have you a little butter off to the side there that you're going to slap on it when it's done. So when we're all done with this and we're eating them, we'll post a picture of what they look like. These are going to be fantastic, but that's your tip for the perfect indoor steak.